How to Create a Glitch Monologues Season 10 Chapter 8. This is Episode 8 of How to Create a Glitch in the Matrix Monologues Season 10. In this episode, we will be talking about geometric shapes and gateway formation. To reiterate, the social geometry of groups manifests particular geometric shapes to produce mirroring. A group of 5, as an example, has 5 vertices and 5 rotational symmetries permitting mirroring at 5 locations in a finite space. But when looking at geometric shapes, objects, we can also observe that particular geometric shapes enable a certain number of positions in a closed space. If, for example, 2 individuals stand on opposite sides of a point of rotation, they will form a gateway, which is to say, to some degree their experience will overlap. Or if, let's say, 2 individuals walk down a hallway, to some limited degree their experience of that hallway overlaps, hence the gateway. But if we are talking about 3-dimensional objects, there is a degree to which irregularly shaped objects will delimit or prevent the formation of a gateway. For example, let's say that 2 individuals stand in a room on either side of a chair. Because a chair has symmetry down the middle, there are really only so many positions the 2 individuals can stand relative to the chair which will preserve their gateway and common experience. As another example, let's say 2 individuals are standing on either side of an object shaped like a tetrahedron. A tetrahedron has 12 rotational symmetries. This means that there are 12 ways the 2 individuals can be rotated around the object while preserving the symmetry of their perspectives, preserving the gateway. In other words, there are only 12 slots, so to speak, where the 2 individuals can stand and preserve the symmetry of their observation and hence their gateway. An octahedron, on the other hand, has 24 rotational symmetries which gives them 24 slots, so to speak, for individuals to stand and preserve the same perspective, retain the gateway. This means that 3-dimensional shapes act like keys for the creation of gateways among groups, permitting only so many slots, or locations, preserving the gateway in a finite space. Now, since we are suggesting that this reality has 6 dimensions, 3 spatial, 3 time, we have 6 vertices for every object, 3 of spatial form and 3 of temporal form. These 6 vertices mean that the natural form of this 6-dimensional reality is an octahedron. Likewise, we can say that the 24 rotational symmetries of the octahedron mean that the maximum symmetries available for gateway formation and mirroring is 24 spatial locations relative to each object, which produce the conditions for gateway formation. Likewise, we can also draw conclusions about spatial transformations themselves from this analysis and the previous podcast. As explained, the spatial transformations we make with our hands are the selfsame transformations we make with our minds. Only now, we ascribe 6 dimensions to these transformations. Keeping in mind that dilation of an object such as a human hand is not possible, we can say that there are only 3 transformations relevant: translation, rotation and reflection. We can see that these 3 transformations act in 6 dimensions of time and space, thus acting on dimensions of time as easily as dimensions of space. But even so, we know also that the second and third spatial dimension recede into the first spatial dimension. This means that the symmetry of the octahedron is degenerative, which means that the number of specific locations producing symmetry will decrease as time approaches some non-zero limit. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.